These are my two favorite ProKennex rackets, the Black Ace 105 and the Ki10. And this model specifically is the 290. Between the two of these, if you took notes from each ones and a couple from this Dunlop, I think you could literally have one of the best rackets ever made. Interesting history with this racket. This is essentially the racket that became what is known as the Pure Drive now. And ProKennex continued manufacturing this for themselves in their own fashion, but this racket is ultimately what was referenced to make the original Pure Drive. But what could make it a little bit better? Within reason, like stuff that already exists on other rackets, right? Open up this string pattern a little bit. I'm talking about string spacing. If you look at the density here compared to the 105, this open pattern here is a little bit more linear. You can see this square shape here doesn't become too elongated as you go north or south. Whereas here, it's very square and quickly becomes elongated with these huge rectangles here. Point being that the density in the sweet spot is very high and I think somewhat counterintuitive to spin. So if you want this to be a spin racket, your only shot of doing that is like thinner gauge, very low tension. And even doing that doesn't make this racket too launchy. It's pretty cool. What else? I think that this grommet system needs to clean up the strings a bit. Like look at how much those are kind of sticking out, especially there. Like even just the racket totally turned sideways. You can see that orange string poking out there. Compared to the Black Ace, it's much better tucked in. And speaking of the grommets, I want you to observe how flush things are up here at the head guard. Very aerodynamic. You can see that channel. It's very minimal, very drag friendly. The Ki10 on the other hand has quite a groove. And I think the two drawbacks are slightly shortening the length of the string bed while also creating opportunity for more drag. Lastly, I think parallel drilling would be a nice upgrade for this racket that would bring it up to the times a little bit more. I appreciate that the grommets are small, but I actually think they could be a little bit bigger. Let me explain. Here's a Dunlop SX. Notice that the hole, the opening for the string is about the same size as it is on the Ki10, but the overall grommet is thicker on the SX than it is on the Ki10. Having a thicker grommet like on the SX would mean that the grommet is actually a little bit more durable and can resist bending better, which as you can see on the 105 is an actual stress point. I believe that these thin, small grommets are prone to bending and warping and kind of chipping the paint on the inner part of the hoop. Another example down there. And to take another note from this Dunlop, you see that little split right there in the head guard right there? So this is one section of the grommet here, and this is a second section, and the second section actually overlaps into the head guard and separates again right there. That allows for much easier installation and replacement as well as filling in this space a little bit. You see how this Dunlop is also a little bit more aerodynamically sound, especially at the tip of the head guard there? You could fill that space with a grommet that lays on top of this. Might have to make some minimal changes to the mold of the head guard and so on, but hey, it's probably about time to do that, right? The 305 is way too heavy, especially in the head. Average swing weights are like in the mid 330s. We need to take that down like 10 units, which this one pretty much is. Do all that, and I think you will easily have one of the best rackets on the market.